So Ultra Q, the game that is universally praised for its intense and erratic combat, known for its diehard fans and flamboyant community. What is it really? Well, the premise is simple. Mankind is dead after creating machines fueled by blood, and you are playing as V1, a robot in hell seeking more fuel to power your engines when all blood has dried up on Earth. Gameplay-wise, Ultra Q plays just like any other shooters. You shoot at things until they drop. But what sets it apart is the crazy amount of stuff you can do. Besides the usual jump, slide and dash mechanics, V1 also takes a parry straight from the action game. It can parry a wide range of projectiles and attacks, even though they seem excessively large for its size. Unlike most other shooters, V1 doesn't regenerate health over time or through health pickups. It relies on a more visceral method, healing through blood. Merely defeating enemies isn't enough. V1 needs to engage them up close and personal, basking in their spoiled blood to regain health. This mechanic naturally pushes players towards a more aggressive playstyle. But don't think you can just face tank everything by simply all healing them. Ultra Q introduces a unique mechanic where a certain percentage of damage V1 takes is converted into hard damage. This is indicated by a great portion in the health bar that cannot be recovered immediately. You need to stop taking damage for it to heal. Interestingly, the recovery speed of this hard damage depends on your style. Speaking of which, did I mention this game has a style meter? Executing stylish actions and cycling through different weapons earn your style points. The higher your style rank, the quicker your hard damage heals. Achieving the highest style rank, which is also called Ultra Q, restores all your hard damage instantaneously. Ultra Q features a vast arsenal, with each weapon offering its own unique utility, no matter how niche it might seem. There are a couple of exceptions, but generally, the diversity is impressive. Take the revolver for instance. You know how in most shooters, it's pretty much a throwaway weapon you only resort to when you run out of ammo on all the other weapons. Well, in Ultra Q, it's a whole different story. It's hands-on one of the most versatile weapons in the whole game. And why is the revolver so unique, you ask? Let me introduce you to arguably the most stylish weapon in the shooter genre, a gun that tosses coins. The things you can do with these coins are just mind-blowing. Toss a coin into the air and you got a brief moment to shoot it with your revolver. Do it right and the bullet ricochets off the coin, hitting the weak points of your enemies. The more coins you bounce bullets off, the more damage you dish out. But hold on, there's more. It's not just a revolver. Other weapons can interact with coins as well. Let's dive into one more weapon before moving to the next part of review. The basic shotgun in Ultra Q has an alternative fire mode that launches a grenade. At first glance, it might seem a bit underwhelming. It's slow and not the most reliable, and the damage output is somewhat modest. But here is where it gets interesting. For starters, you can actually detonate the grenade prematurely by shooting it with a hit scan weapon. Doing this not only doubles the damage, but also the explosion radius. And what happens if you detonate one explosive with another? Well, you guessed it, you end up with an even bigger explosion. You can also parry your own shotgun pellets to make them explosive, because as we all know, the more explosion a game has, the better its quality. The levels in Ultra Q are nicely designed, each bringing in new themes and enemy compositions to keep things fresh. Puzzles and platforming are rare spots. You will need to hop off a couple of monkey bars before you find new things to kill. Exploration is rewarded in Ultra Q. The game is peppered with secrets and challenges that beckon you to delve deeper into each map. For instance, there is a unique challenge where you need to complete a 3-minute mission in under 10 seconds. And another that challenges you to avoid touching any water in a level that is flooded with it. At the end of each chapter, you are greeted with a boss fight. And let me just say, Ultra Q might just have some of the best boss battles in shooter games, but don't take my word for it. Play them yourself and see what I mean. However, levels in Ultra Q are not all perfect. One downside I've noticed in the main mission is their inconsistent quality. Typically, the later levels feel more polished than the earlier ones. Also, the levels don't take too long to complete, which might be a downside for players looking for a lengthier experience. If you finish the main missions and are looking to really put your skills to a test, Ultra Kill offers a mode called Cyber Grind. It's similar to a Horde mode where you face off against endless waves of enemies. My experience with it has been somewhat mixed. Of the 80 hours I played Ultra Kill, around 60 were dedicated to this mode. Initially, I found it incredibly engaging, constantly learning new moves and gradually reaching higher waves. It was so captivating that I often find myself having trouble sleeping at night, planning strategies and combos for tomorrow. Things kind of changed when I almost reached wave 50, which is a minimum requirement for a decent Ultra Kill player. For the longest time, my personal best was wave 48, because I just wasn't good enough. In Cyber Grind, you can start at higher waves once you beat double the number of that starting round. Yet even with this option, it still took me around half an hour to reach wave 48 to even have a chance of breaking the record. And by the time I actually got close to my personal best, I would be physically exhausted and needed to take a break during the wave so I could keep up with the frantic actions. Also, it's worth mentioning that each wave in Cyber Grind is randomly generated, so occasionally, the game will decide that you should restart the run by spawning 3 Mind Flayers and Ferryman. Cyber Grind is great if you're into Ultra Kill's combat and experimenting with new combos, but it can become an endurance test and get frustrating with bad RNG, especially when closing in on your personal best. My advice? Don't push yourself to a point of resenting the game. I do it because I enjoy tormenting myself and to show that I understand the game I review. Cyber Grind is a much more enjoyable experience when I'm not obsessing over the scoreboard. Cyber Grind also gets a bit of tweak with the new violence update. Enemy spamming has been toned down, and most of the new enemies struggle to reach you effectively, the exception being the mannequins. I've seen Hakira get obsessed with parrying blue orbs in the second secret mission, and he carries his obsession over by making a new enemy that exclusively shoots blue orbs, which you also have to parry frequently. That said, I feel like Cyber Grind is much easier now and new enemies are not that tricky to deal with. However, mannequin attacks can become quite handful when you're facing a storm of projectiles flying your way. I can't really comment on if the new update forces players to fight out of arena a lot earlier now, or the mannequins are really difficult to see on the default Cyber Grind textures, since I only played it once and don't really have the motivation to grind Cyber Grinds anymore. I do have a few gripes with Ultra Kill, and interestingly, some have been addressed in the new Layer 7 update. For instance, a particular scripted boss not always gets insta-killed, and you now don't lose out on the remaining damage of the screwdriver when you punch it out. However, there are still a few aspects I think could be improved. For instance, in the Cyber Grind mode, it's not always clear what will result in instant death. I often fight Mind Flayers outside the arena, and frequently die not realizing how far I have fallen. Some mechanics also appear inconsistent. They might not be fully implemented, or maybe I'm not executing them correctly. Additionally, the white outlines on idle enemies are not very pronounced, particularly on the virtues. Another point, and I acknowledge I'm in the minority here, is that some of the developers' decisions seem questionable to me. For example, featuring Easter Labs as secret enemies, portraying a genderless robot as a girl in the visual novel, and offering official support for male sex toys. While these things are nothing serious and I probably should include them in the review, they do give me pause. Despite that, I genuinely love Ultra Kill. It's just that these little things make me doubtful about the future design choices the developers might make in their later acts. I originally wrote 600 words of rant on P2, but edited it out because this entire review is only 2000 words. Instead, I'll passive-aggressively say that I'm looking forward to fighting 4 color tanks in the shoebox, along with idle Mind Flayers, Virtues and Ferryman, before I fight the risky and faster Minos that has absolutely no resemblance to his character or layer. With all that being said, would I recommend this game to everyone? No, not necessarily. Ultra Kill needs to be played in a certain way. By this I mean you need to actively explore in this game and try to do cool things yourself. The campaign, even on the violent difficulty, is quite forgiving. For those with a solid background in other shooters, you might find that you can get away with just projectile boosting or using revolver as primary fire. The game never really pushes you to experiment with new mechanics. While it encourages exploration, it's not compulsory. You've got all the tools at your disposal, but how you use them is totally up to you. Nobody is going to stop you from wiping out everything with shotgun swaps, but there is more fun to be had, like knocking insurrectionists over with a cannonball, then detonating with your revolver for massive damage. They take double damage when on fire. And sure, you can simply shoot your coins right away, but why not amp up the fun? By punching coins into your enemies and finishing off with ricochet shots, or doing other shenanigans with your spare change. In conclusion, Ultra Q stands out as one of the best games I played this year. To me, it represents the pinnacle of style in the shooter genre, boasting the most thrilling bosses and arsenal that is simply unmatched. The game's visceral combat system is a pulse-binding experience. Each battle is a high-octane thrill ride that keeps my adrenaline surging. The lightning-fast action demanding quick reflexes and fast decision-making provides a thrilling challenge that remains absorbing. Even after countless hours invested, I find the game continually pushes my limits, always offering more depth and density to explore. The game is filled to the brim with excellent ideas, and often had me thinking, why hasn't anyone done this before? Take the credits, for example. They turned the whole thing into an interactive level, because let's face it, no one ever watches the credits. Plus, there are some unused weapons in there that you can actually pick up and use, and the level itself is pretty fun to navigate as well. I've given Ultra Q a 10 out of 10, even despite it's still in early access and probably will for the next 2 or 3 years. The game is just exceptional in terms of quality. While Ultra Q may not be everyone's cup of tea, I definitely recommend giving the demo a try to get a taste of its unique gameplay. And thank you for watching, I'll see you in the next one. Recently, I was experimenting to see if it's possible to initiate coin adding by starting with a coin punch. Surprisingly, yes, you can. This discovery led me to question whether the same could apply to slab barrel coining, and the results were quite intriguing. You certainly can combine these techniques, but the outcome is quite inconsistent. Each attempt yielded different results. Further experiments reveal that adding a coin either before or after slab barrel coining often reduces overall damage of the combo. There seems to be a very tight window to successfully perform coin adding after slab barrel coining. This might potentially shave out a few milliseconds in the P2P%, specifically the dead coining section if someone can pull this off consistently. I'm not sure honestly, I never tried speedrunning P2 myself. For now, I'm going to call this slab barrel coin adding. I'm not sure if I'm reinventing the wheel here, so if anyone knows whether this has been done before, I'd love to find out. Anyway, thank you for watching until the end. I will see you in the next one. Bye.